everybody. How are you doing today? Welcome to our week 5. Remember that you're going to watch this video and you're going to do a summary. And then your other summary is on the reading. So you have 2 summaries every week. We're on week 5. Today we're going to be discussing chapter 13, the needs, wants, and the goals, and chapter 14, motivational theories and models, and then involvement levels. I'm going to go ahead and share with you the book. We're looking at needs and we're looking at wants and goals. Every year, many of us make resolutions or goals and eventually go unsatisfied. We eat healthier, we pay better attention in class, we volunteer, we exercise more. As much as we know our lives would improve if we actually achieve these goals, people quite often don't follow through. But what if we didn't have the case? What if every time we made a goal, we actually accomplished it each day? Our behavior is a result of countless goals. Maybe not the goals that we may think of, like lifting heaviest weights or being the first person to land on Mars. But even with mundane goals like getting food from the grocery store or showing up to work on time, we're enhancing the same psychological processes involved with achieving loftier dreams. To understand how we can better attain our goals, let's begin with defining what a goal is and underlines the psychology. Sometimes we know that life gets in the way. I know in 2021, I was getting in really good shape again, and I was helping my sister. Well, 2021, I was getting really good shape, and then 2022 happened. I got COVID, and I got in a car accident. And so it was just like one thing after another and put me down. Then I got back into shape again. People were saying, "Oh, you look so great." I was doing jazzercise, I was walking, I was doing a little short distance running. I used to be a distance runner and a dancer, so I was trying to get in better shape. I was helping my sister out because she was pregnant, and so I'd watch her dog for her, and I was taking care of her dog as well as my 4 cats. And fortunately, I would also take him home at night sometimes because I don't like him to spend the night here because he's pretty rambunctious and he won't go to bed, and I have my cats with me in my bedroom. So I was going to take him home and he's being difficult, and I was trying to get him in the car and he jerked my body. I lost my balance. I fell, and then he kept running while I had my hand on the leash. So I actually heard my back crack. I couldn't breathe, and my whole family said that you're fine. Stop being a drama queen. You're fine. Just walk it off. You need to not be selfish. It's the holidays because it was Christmas. And I was like, okay, I don't want to be selfish. My family's staying with me. I'm trying to help them out, you know. And I was in so much pain. And then like 5 days later, I finally went to the doctor and they're like, you have 2 broken ribs. You shouldn't be doing anything. And I'm like, well, I've been driving, I've been cleaning, I've been cooking dinner, I've been like helping carry Christmas presents, I've been going up and down the stairs. And he says, you can't do any of that because it's on your left lung. It's your number 6 and 7. And if you break your ribs more, you can end up having to be hospitalized with it in your lungs. I was like, well, I was told it wasn't serious. He's like, well, I'm a physician and it is serious. And he's like, who told you it's not serious? I was like, my whole family said I was fine. He goes, they don't know anything. I'm looking right at the x-rays. So that put me behind like 3 months. And sometimes your goals just cannot be obtained. Like the universe is just messing with you. So if I'm reading this, maybe you're going through stuff like that too. It's okay. I've been there. I mean, it's so bad. And I got in so many car accidents that people just want to hit my car that now it's like a $500 deductible and I pay a lot every month because they said you're not a defensive driver, because it seems like every year I'm having issues. In 2023, someone hit my mom when she was driving the car. I told her, well, are you okay? And she goes, yeah, I'm fine, but the car's not. I said, well, don't worry about it. The car's a magnet. Everybody always wants to hit it. It's a gray Toyota Corolla, but I guess for some reason everybody likes to run into it while on the street or on the freeway or wherever we're at. So that is beyond our control. I mean, it's just the universe messing with you, God allowing it, you know. So as I'm reading this, don't be offended because I do understand that sometimes you just can't get your goals. And I was frustrated with myself because I hate not having my goals. I mean, I try to live a good life. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't have lots of fun in my life. I don't have boyfriends and stuff like that. So I try to be focused on work and of course going to church and having a relationship with the Lord and being a good person. And then when I was in school, I want to focus on getting good grades. And so I don't have time to be messing around. And so I always try to get the goals set. But sometimes things just are in the way, and it's hard. It's really hard. I mean, I know some students that said it was really hard to go to school, so they just took some time off during COVID and they came back. Which if you're like a football player and you play for like UCLA or in California, you pay at Baylor or University of Maryland Baylor in Texas, a lot of the schools are giving the students 1 or 2 more years to play football. And some of them are like in a master's program or certificate program. They're still letting them play football because that's what they signed on the contract, you know? So, and these are just some examples of sometimes our goals get postponed or sometimes they get totally X'd out because it's unattainable, you know? I had goals for 10 years to move to Arizona and I tried for 2 years. I made bids on a bunch of houses, but I got outbid by organizations like BlackRock, Blackstone, Premium Homes, Zillow. And those are just 4 examples of who outbid me with all cash, 100,000 over asking price. And I'm doing a conventional loan. And I'm more than happy to tell you that story because a lot of people feel like, oh, you have a house in Texas, so everything must work out fine for you. But that's not the case. No. That wasn't my first choice. My first choice was Arizona, and I tried for 2 years because I wanted to be close to my family in California. But I still wanted to have my own house, and I moved so many times because, it's hard when people die, your landlord dies, or they want to raise your rent. I mean, there's different reasons. The last place I lived rented was 4 years. The time before that was 10 years. The time before that was 2 years. So, and sometimes you don't have a choice. The place I lived 2 years got flooded. We had a major flood in Long Beach and Compton, and it totally flooded everywhere. And I was on the bottom story of an apartment on a hill, and it flooded my place. So I had to leave. So sometimes there's things beyond your control. These are things I cannot control. The goals were not met, not because I wasn't trying hard, or not because I wasn't making myself available, or not because I wasn't putting the time into it. It's because the universe decided to choose otherwise. So I just want to give you that example because I don't want anyone to be offended because some things happen. You get sick or you get injured or you find that you lose your job. I mean, different things happen. Or I've give you some examples, some things you're ready, but it's competitive. So a goal is a cognitive representation of a desired state, or in other words, a mental idea of how we like things to turn out. A desired end state of a goal can be clearly defined or stepping on surface of Mars, or it can be abstract and represent a state which never fully completed, like eating healthy or underlining all these goals. So motivation or a psychological driving force that enables the action to pursuit of the goal. Motivation can stem from two places. First, it can come from benefits associated with the process of pursuing a goal, intrinsic motivation. For example, you might be driven by the desire to have a fulfilling experience while working in the Mars mission. Second, motivation could come from benefits associated with achieving a goal, maybe intrinsic motivation, such as fame and fortune that come with being the first person on Mars. So today we're talking about intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. One easy way to consider intrinsic motivation is through the eyes of a student. Does the student work hard on assignments because the act of learning is pleasing, intrinsic, or does the student work hard to get good grades that help them land a good job? Extrinsic motivation. Custom or behavior is thought as a combination of efforts and results related to the consumer's need to solve problems. Consumer problem solving is triggered by the identification of some unmet need. A family consumes all the milk in the house, or the tires on a family car wear out, or the bowling team is planning an end of the season picnic. These present consumers with a problem which can be solved. Problems can be viewed in terms of two types of needs: physical, such as a need for food, or psychological, for example, a need to be accepted by others. Although the difference is a subtle one, there's some benefit distinguishing between the need and want. A need is a basic deficiency given a particular essential item. You need food and water and air and security and so forth. A want is placing certain personal criteria at how the need is fulfilled. Therefore, we go hungry, we'll often have a specific food item in mind. Consequently, a teenager will laminate frustrated parent that has nothing to eat while standing in front of a full refrigerator. You have Unitarian and hedonic needs. Before we go on further, I'd like to show you motivation, intrinsic.
Is teaming up with JJ from Coco Melon to help teach healthy habits with delicious formulas and clean label certifications that parents can trust, so you can enjoy the sweet and silly moments along the way.
Motivation is the experience of wanting something or wanting to avoid it. When we study how we get motivated to learn, develop, and succeed, we can identify two contrary forces, extrinsic and intrinsic ones. On the one hand, we want to belong, desire to be loved, and seek to get the attention we think we deserve. We are motivated extrinsically by rewards in order to progress socially. On the other hand, we strive to explore things that are satisfying in themselves, disregarding rewards. We are motivated intrinsically by a natural curiosity which we follow because it feels right. The opinions of others don't matter. To understand why we probably need a good mix of both, let's imagine two 4-year-old children. Both grow up in families that want only the best for their kids, but have completely opposing views on how to motivate them to succeed. Tom's parents believe that all their boy needs is love. To not undermine his intrinsic interests, they never praise him or use rewards. Eventually, they decide not to give him any feedback at all, fearing it could corrupt his free mind. Over the years, Tom develops an immense capacity to imagine, spending most of his time playing by himself. By being allowed to follow his passions, he learns what he likes and what he doesn't. But Tom doesn't learn what others expect and gets easily irritated when asked to do something in a particular way. Mira's parents believe that their precious little girl needs clear rules about what's good and what's not. They see it as their duty to help Mira learn by providing precise and actionable feedback on all aspects of her young life. Mira spends her days in preschool, music, and ballet lessons. Over the years, she gets exceptionally good at the things that please the adults around her. However, since there is neither time to play nor to relax, she doesn't discover her own interests. Being alone bores her. At 14, Tom is independent and begins writing science fiction. He realizes that he isn't quite like his friends and spends most of his time at the library. When he shares his writing, others can't quite relate. At the same age, Mira is at the top of her class and has plenty of friends and admirers. She knows what is expected of her and makes sure to meet those expectations. Sometimes the pressure becomes unbearable, although that's her secret. By the day he turns 21, Tom has a unique perspective of the world. He is intelligent, but doesn't like to work for money and hence is always broke. He hates the idea of conforming to conventional norms and is annoyed if someone interferes with his creative expression. At this point, Tom knows a lot about himself, but doesn't connect well with others. To him, people seem to follow rules without questioning them, just like sheep. Integrating into the society is difficult at this point, and he begins to search for utopia. Mira makes it into a top medical school, where she realizes she'll never be top of the class again. Once that place seems out of reach, her motivation drops and she wonders if medicine actually interests her. Since quitting is no option, she takes up a second major and runs for student council president. Soon, Mira will know everything about what others expect, but nothing about what she likes for herself. All her life, she has just listened, driven by external feedback loops. At this point, she's almost lost the ability to question the norms of the society she grew up in. Listening to our heart can tell us who we are, but not how to be happy among others. Listening to others can motivate us to be a part of their world, but doesn't teach us if that world is ours. This is why it's probably good for the two to go together. Then we can learn what we want and get the feedback we need in order to stay motivated to explore new roads into a better society. A large body of research shows that balancing the two forces is not straightforward. One meta-analysis of 128 studies examined the effects of extrinsic rewards on intrinsic motivation. While most rewards significantly undermined our intrinsic interest, positive feedback, which is an extrinsic motivator, inspires us to keep going. Put simply, honest words of encouragement get us going, while money or gifts undermine our inner drive. What about you? Do you listen to your heart or to the voices of society? And from your personal experience, which of the two eventually takes your decision? Share your thoughts and check the description to dive deeper into the topic. Sprout's videos are published under the Creative Commons license. That means our
Okay, and then these are change your life. Here's 4 tips for motivation if you're having a hard time.
Stitch Fix. I'd like to thank my stylist for making me look so amazing.
for taking care of the shopping so I can take care of this.
There is no elevator to success. You gotta take the stairs. If you find meaning in quotes like this, put them right up where you will see them every day. Here are another 13 tips to get started. Ask why. If we don't know why we are doing it, then we don't see a point. Whether we want to make a career, change the world, or prove some idiots wrong, these are all great reasons to get going. Simon Sinek spoke of the golden circle. First ask why, then how, and what. If you don't have a purpose right now, pick up a skill that helps you once you do, like reading fast, learning how to learn, or public speaking. Know about the Dunning-Kruger effect. The theory describes that many of us are too confident when we learn something new. Once we actually start learning, we realize how difficult it is and how incompetent we are. As a result, our motivation drops and many of us quit. The trick to success is to keep going anyway. Once we master an area, our confidence returns. Look for feedback. Marathon runners know that encouraging spectators can make a massive difference on the last meters. Feedback is a strong force, so deliberately seek it. One way, just ask for advice. Most people love giving it. It makes them feel smart. Entrepreneurs who look for investors say, ask for money, you'll get advice. Ask for advice, you'll get money. Articulate your values. In one experiment at the beginning of the new school year, 7th graders had to pick a personal value, such as being good at school, making friends, or music. Then they spent 15 minutes writing down why this mattered to them. To remind them, the process was repeated every 2 to 4 months. Within 2 years, most weak students saw a 10% increase in all grades. A year later, the experiment was repeated. This time, the value being good at school was not even available. The surprising truth, again, all grades got better. Remind yourself what you really care about. Get a mentor. Look for charismatic people you can look up to. By following a mentor, we can find inspiration, get new ideas, maybe even find purpose. You might be able to find them around the block. For a list of our favorite mentors, check our website or the descriptions below. Don't make excuses. To see if you do, Bernard Roth from the Stanford's D School teaches to reframe problems by asking yourself this particular question. What would it do for me if I had already solved the problem? For example, if you think you're fat, then ask yourself, what would it do for me if I would lose weight? If the answer is that you would ask that cute girl out on a date, then forget about losing weight and ask her out on a date. Prime yourself. Canadian researchers observed that salesmen in call centers can be 50% more successful when they see pictures that represent success while making their calls. The effect is called priming. Most of us become smarter in a library because we tend to be more thoughtful, and many feel more successful when we dress well, stand up straight with our arms out and our heads held high. Make bets. Make your life a game and take bets. Groups of pretty people do that all over the world to lose weight. The one who can't lose 2 kilos in 6 weeks has to buy cupcakes for everyone. But it also works for reading books or challenging yourself to ask a girl out for dinner. Track your record. Records show us where we are coming from. They indicate progress. Good music teachers record the students' first lesson. 1 year later, they show their students what they recorded. Most are amazed how much they progressed. As Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it's done. Start small. When we put effort into something and we succeed, we are motivated to continue. It's a self-reinforcing circle. If we aim too high right at the beginning, it's likely that we will fail. This can lead to frustration, and we might stop before we even get started. Want to learn how to sing? Start with 5 minutes every morning. Surround yourself with positive people. Author Jim Rohn wrote that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. To get motivated, spend time with positive people that have a growth mindset. Negative people often have a problem for every solution. Get context. If you need to study maths, but your passion is sports and cooking, analyze your favorite football player. Find out how many kilometers he runs and how many goals he scores on average. Then calculate calories and make a healthy meal that would give him enough energy to score 2 goals in one game. Help others. If they succeed, you get positive energy back. One trick to motivate others is to use purpose. Explain why things matter. Paint a picture of their possible future. Then engage them to take responsibility. Last, give them the right tools and feedback to help them succeed. Leadership coach Steve Radcliffe calls it Future, Engage, Deliver. Establish discipline. As motivation can come and go, discipline will stay and watch you like a hawk. One way to get disciplined is to set a fixed time to do something and then make sure you always do it no matter what. For example, work out every morning for 20 minutes right before breakfast. Over time, it will become a habit and you don't even need motivation. If you have to do something important or make a big decision, switch off YouTube right now and do it. As internet activist Aaron Swartz asked, "What is the most important thing you could be working on right now? And if you aren't working on that, why aren't you?" Then we don't see a point. Whether we want to make
Okay. So when we're looking at Unitarian hedonic needs, often discussed around the needs for further explanation. For those Unitarian, practical, and useful in nature and hedonic, luxurious, desirable in nature, consumers are satisfying their Unitarian needs. They will be more price sensitive, and consumers seeking to satisfy hedonic needs will just justify higher prices due to the infrequency in which they purchase a luxury item. Cognitive dissonance or consumer guilt is more likely to be associated with hedonic purchases than Unitarian ones. Research also distinguishes between 2 distinct self-regulatory orientations or perceptions of effectiveness in pursuing a goal: prevention and promotion. Prevention emphasizes safety, responsibility, and security needs and views goals as odds. On the other hand, a promotion focuses views on goals of ideals and emphasizes hopes and accomplishments and advancements of needs. Here, people view the goals of something they want to do, which will bring added pleasure. Prevention orientation. This one is to avoid negative outcomes. Like we have cruelty-free items. A lot of people like that, like Body Shop and Lush have that. We have avoid excessive waste in environmentally harmful production practices. Patagonia does that. A lot of people like thrift stores, upcycling. They even have that sign at Goodwill that says upcycling. I knew a student last week, he told us that he buys all his clothes at Goodwill. He can get brand names. You can get stuff like Target brands and Walmart brands all the way up to like Gucci and Ralph Lauren. You just have to have a good eye to look through everything, because some stuff is brand new. Either it's donated from the stores because they can't sell it, or people donate it and they never wore it. And then some stuff is just like vintage, like it's old, but it's cool looking. Then you may have vape accessories, reduce risk for smoking experience. So some people vape because they think it's less toxic to the body, except, everything costs money. Promotion orientation, seeking rewards for positive outcomes. We have Axe body spray, enhance attractiveness. Birchbox, personalized delivery of beauty products. Dove promotes high self-esteem. A lot of the Dove commercials have some kind of message. Like beauty is only skin deep, or everybody is beautiful. Music festivals and concerts, memory making experiences. Motivational conflict can happen, or ambience. It arises when people experience two goals that are incomparable with each other. Three main types are approach. Conflict occurs when a person must choose between two desirable choices. Approach avoidance. Conflict occurs when a person desires something but seeks avoid at the same time. And avoidance. Conflict occurs when both person is faced to choose between two equally undesirable choices, both in which carry negative outcomes. Motivational theories. We have the drive theory. That's the longest you ever gone without eating. A couple hours, entire day. How did it feel? Humans rely critically on food for nutrition and energy, and the absence of food can create a drastic change, not only in physical appearance, but in thoughts and behaviors. If you ever fasted for the day, you probably notice how hungry, a form of tension or hangry, we call it in the house, can take over. Hunger is a drive state, an effective experience, something you feel like a sensation of being tired or hungry that motivates organisms to fulfill goals that are generally beneficial to survival and reproduction. Homeostasis is a natural state of the body's systems with goals and drives and arousal and balance. Expectancy theory is individual motivation to put forth more or less determined by rational calculation, which individuals evaluate their situation. Whether a person believes that high levels of effort will lead to outcomes of interest, such as performance or success. Perception is label expectancy. We have instrumentally. That's another perception. It's a degree to person believes that performance is related to subsequent outcomes, such as rewards. Finally, individuals are concerned about the value of rewards awaiting them as a result of performance. The anticipated satisfaction that it will result in outcome is labeled variance. We have Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the base of the pyramid is the lowest level of motivation, includes hunger and thirst and safety. Here's Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
As a non-native English speaker and writer, this is crucial for me. Grammarly's digital writing assistant helps.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a theory in psychology. It argues that there are 5 stages of human needs that motivate our behavior. Abraham Maslow proposed his theory in 1943 after studying what he called exemplary people, such as Albert Einstein or Eleanor Roosevelt. First, there are physiological needs, such as the need to breathe, eat, drink, or sleep. The moment we get enough of that and we feel awake and our bellies are full, we get motivated by the next thing. Now we want safety. We try to earn money, build up resources, and look for shelter that protects us against dangers. Once we are satisfied and feel safe, we have time to think about what we want next. At stage 3, we seek love and belonging. We desire to be close to family and friends, belong to a society, or join a gang. But the moment we feel completely part of a group, we already wish to be a little different than the rest. At stage 4, we look for esteem, self-confidence, and respect from our peers. We want to be someone. If we have money, we buy a fancy watch. If we have a brain, we write or think or work a lot. Motivation to perform and compete is now at its highest. Students, sportsmen, and inventors excel. Neil Armstrong even flew to the moon. Only if we breathe and drink and eat and sleep enough, and we feel safe and part of a group and still special, only then can we reach level 5, self-actualization. Now we can relax, be creative, accept facts for what they are, give back or do whatever we want. No more pressure, unless of course there is trouble below. If you are a leader and believe in the theory, use it. First, make sure everyone has eaten well. Then make them feel safe and help them belong to a group. Once they feel they belong, they are ready to stand out and excel. Thanks for watching. Even if we try to keep it short, each video is quite some work. First, we research and write a script. Then we brainstorm ideas. And after that, we draw the storybook. Then it's recorded, narrated, and finally edited. If you want to support us to make more videos on learning and education, visit patreon.com/sprouts.
Chewy can help your new pet feel more at home. Shop today for everything they need: food, treats, advice, and toys.
All right. So Maslow studied how successful people, including Albert Einstein, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., Helen Keller, and Mahatma Gandhi, have been able to lead successful and productive lives. Maslow in 1970 believed that such actualized people are creative, spontaneous, and loving of themselves and others. They tend to have a few deep friendships rather than superficial ones, and are generally private. He felt that individuals do not need to conform to the opinions of others because they are very confident and thus free to express unpopular opinions. Self-actualization by people are likely to have peak experiences or transit moments of tranquility accustomed by a strong sense of connection with others. Maslow and Blackfoot Nation. Did you know Maslow's work was informed by the Blackfoot people? In 1943, Maslow spent several weeks performing anthropological research on Blackfoot territory. An experience had powerful impact on him. There's a little information on here. Coca-Cola marketing for Maslow. So Abraham Maslow hierarchy approach was universally adopted by marketers because it helps to fulfill the level of the need for target consumers trying to meet, and how the market of their product to fulfill that need is known for unique and innovative marketing. The first tier of Maslow's hierarchy is the psychological basic needs. The consumer's levels solely satisfy their own basic needs. So in 1986, Robert C. Kiyosaki, the chairman of CEO of Coke at the time, quoted the saying, "Eventually the number one beverage on earth will not be tea or coffee or wine or beer, it will be soft drinks. Our soft drinks proving that the company is determined to target consumers is this motivation tier. Since then, Coca-Cola managed to convince customers that not only a staple of their diet, and for many, it completely replaced the water, and was not only the case. In 1886, John Pearson combined the healing properties of coca leaf and coca nut to create a drink that would eventually become Coca-Cola. He originally created and marketed the brain tonic and the cure-all elixir. Though Maslow could not born another 20 years, the editors of Encyclopedia Britannica probably was inadvertently marketing his elixir to the second tier in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Safety needs, which includes health and security and protection. According to Maslow, consumers not be motivated by safety needs until the psychological needs have been met. While Coke is no longer regarded as a health drink, it appeals to consumers motivated by safety needs because it provides them with comforting feel of home. During World War II, one severely wounded American soldier even credited holding his hand to an empty Coke bottle for being the only thing that would keep him dying all night long. Motivational needs in the third tier, belonging to love and address, consumers who feel the psychological and safety needs have adequately satisfied are now looking to spend more of the delusional income. This tier is appealing to the choice of marketers, Coke included, due to the sheer volume of consumers motivated by the purchasing decisions that satisfy their social needs. Coke's global growth strategy resulting in brand becoming within arm's reach and consumer of all times, combined with their nostalgia, sentimentally depicted for the advertisements featuring children in all good old days, resulted in consumers purchasing Coke as a way to fulfill their intimacy motivations. Coca-Cola is your friend. Wherever you go, Coca-Cola is always there. It's like coming home to your mother. The second and final tier is self-esteem needs generally consist of luxury brands. In modern day, Eurocentric and Western cultures, we might consider Coke a luxury item, and early history is rooted in social status and classism. Mid-20th century, as a feature in American culture and domestic hospitality, and then I believe Coke is the perfect brand to study when learning Maslow's hierarchy of need, being able to market different motivations and consumers at the same level model cannot be easy. But I believe it's the reason Coca-Cola has maintained so much success over a long period of time. Maslow's model teaches us that consumers have different need priorities at different times and stages of their lives. Thus, in marketing to all 5 tiers, Coca-Cola essentially guaranteed lifelong customers. We have involvement levels. Depending on the customer's experience and knowledge, some customers find it able to quick purchase decisions, process before purchase. The level of involvement reflects how personal, important, or interested you are in consuming a product and how much information you need to make the decision. A level of involvement in buying decisions could be considered a continuum from decisions that are fairly routine, customers are not always involved, to decisions and require excessive thought and high level of involvement. Whether the decision is low, high, or is limited, involvement varies by customer, not by product. At some point in your life, you may be considered products that you own, luxury or novelty items. But like many of us, you probably didn't do much more than ponder of their relevance or suitability to your life. At times, you probably looked at a dozen of products, compared them, and decided not to purchase any of them. And when you run out of the products in the milk or the bread that you buy on a regular basis, you buy the product as soon as you recognize the need because you do not need to search the information or evaluate alternatives. Low involvement decisions are, however, typically products that are relatively inexpensive and pose a low risk to the buyer if a mistake is made in purchasing them. Customers often engage in routine response behavior when they make a low involvement decisions, that they make automatic purchase decisions based on limited information they have gathered in the past. We have impulse buying. These buying decisions are called impulse buying. You're waiting to check on the grocery store. Perhaps you don't see a magazine with a notable celebrity on the cover and you buy that spot simply because you want it. You might see a roll of tape at the checkout stand and remember that you might see a bag of chips and realize that you're hungry and you want them. So if it's in your face, you might want it. These are items that are typically low involvement decisions. Probably why when you go to places like Ross or TJ Maxx and Marshalls, they have you wait in this really long line and they have candy and phone chargers and all kinds of stuff and snacks right while you're having to stand there for 5 minutes or so, maybe longer, 10 minutes. And you're next thing you know, you're looking through this stuff because you have nothing else to do except maybe look at your phone or the person in front of you or behind you. You have high involvement consumer decision making. By contrast, high involvement decisions carry a higher risk for the buyers if they fail. There are more complex purchases that may carry a high price tag, such as a house, a car, or insurance policy. These items are not purchased. Often they are relevant and important to the buyer. Buyers don't engage in routine response behavior in purchasing high involvement products. Instead, consumers engage in what's called extended problem solving. They spend a lot of time comparing different aspects, such as features of the product, prices, and warranties. Then we have high involvement decisions. These can cause buyers a great deal of post-purchase dissonance, also known as cognitive dissonance. As a form of anxiety, customers experience as they're unsure about their purchases or they have difficult time deciding between alternatives. Companies sell high involvement products that are aware of the post-purchase dissonance that can be a problem. Frequently, marketers try to offer consumers a lot of supporting information about products, including why they are superior or competing brands and why the consumer won't be disappointed with their purchase afterward. Salespeople play a critical role in answering consumer questions and providing extensive support during and after purchasing stage. Limited problem solving falls somewhere between low involvement routine and high involvement, extended problem solving decisions. Consumers engage in limited problem solving when they already have some information about good or service, but continue to search for a little more information. Assume you need a new backpack for a hiking trip. While you're familiar with backpacks, you know that a few features and materials are available since you purchased your last backpack. You're going to spend some time looking for that decent because you don't want it to fall apart while you're traveling and dump everything you packed in the hiking trail. You might do a little research online and come to a decision relatively quickly. You might consider the choices available at your favorite retail outlet, but not look at every backpack at every outlet making a decision. Or you might rely on the advice of a person you know who's knowledgeable about backpacks. In some way, you shorten or limit your involvement in decision-making process. Product, place, price, promotion, information search, evaluations of alternatives, purchasing behavior, and purchasing frequency. Could be anything from chewing gum to advertising commercials, sales promotions, to a larger item like a car. Ways to increase involvement levels, customization. Some people make their own shoes. I know Vans has that. This is Skechers. Maybe they like one shoe of each. But Vans, you can actually design your own shoe. Engagement. Have you ever had the expression, content is king, without a doubt, engaging, memorable, and unique marketing content? We have body form, Old Spice. Those are some examples. We have incentives. There's like a loyalty program with Starbucks. I used to be in it in the old days. You could get like free items or discount items. On your birthday, they used to give you a free drink. Okay. Creating purpose, use representation. Sometimes we can relate to the model. Media attributions, the image of two different colored sneakers, the image of a coffee cart and a wallet, image of an island resort, tropical destination, image of a stack of glossy magazine covers. All right. Okay. This is Greg Yu. He does a good explanation of the expectancy theory of motivation.
I'm Aubrey. I went to St. Jude because I had a cancerous tumor.
Process-based perspectives are concerned with how motivation occurs, rather than attempting to identify specific motivational stimuli such as pay or recognition. Process perspectives focus on why people choose certain behavioral options to satisfy their needs and how they evaluate their satisfaction after they've attained those goals. Let's take a look at the expectancy theory of motivation. Expectancy theory suggests that people are motivated by how much they want something and the likelihood they perceive of getting it. Expectancy theory is a more encompassing model of motivation than equity theory. Over the years since its original formulation, the theory's scope and complexity have continued to grow. Victor Vrahm is generally credited with first applying the theory of motivation to the workplace. The theory attempts to determine how individuals choose among alternative behaviors. The basic premise of expectancy theory is that motivation depends on how much we want something and how likely we are to get it. This figure summarizes the basic expectancy model. The model's general components are effort, the result of motivated behavior, performance, and outcomes. Expectancy theory emphasizes the linkages among these elements, which are described in terms of expectancies, instrumentalities, and valences. Effort to performance expectancy is a person's perception of the probability that effort will lead to successful performance. Performance to outcome instrumentality is a person's perception of the probability that performance will lead to certain other outcomes. An outcome is anything that might potentially result from performance. High performance conceivably might produce such outcomes as a pay raise, a promotion, recognition from the boss, fatigue, stress, less time to rest, among others. The valence of the outcome is the relative attractiveness or unattractiveness, the value of the outcome to the person. Pay raises, promotions, and recognition might all have positive valences, whereas fatigue, stress, and less time and rest might have negative valence. The strength of outcome valences varies from person to person. Work-related stress may be a significant negative factor for one person, but only a slight annoyance to another. The basic expectancy framework suggests that 3 conditions must be met before motivated behavior occurs. First, the effort to performance expectancy must be well above 0. That is, the worker must reasonably expect that exerting effort will produce high levels of performance. Second, the performance to outcome instrumentalities must be well above 0. In other words, the person must believe that performance will realistically result in valued outcomes. Third, the sum of all the valences for the potential outcomes relevant to the person must be positive. One or more valences may be negative as long as the positives outweigh the negatives. Expectancy theory is so complicated that researchers have found it to be quite difficult to test. In particular, the measures of various paths of the model may lack validity, and the procedures for investigating relationships among the variables have been less scientific than researchers would like. Moreover, people are seldom as rational and objective in choosing behaviors as expectancy theory implies. Still, the logic of the model, combined with the consistent, albeit modest, research support for it, suggests that the theory has much to offer. Because expectancy theory is so complex, it's difficult to apply directly in the workplace. A manager would need to figure out what the rewards each employee wants and how valuable those rewards are to each person, measure the various expectancies, and finally adjust the relationships to create motivation.
All right, so that concludes today. Make sure you upload everything, and I'll see you next time.